Hey guys!
Hey everyone!
We're here today to talk about fall and pairing natural wines and a little bit about some of the wines that we put in our fall natural wine box. So let's get started. The first thing about fall wines is the change basically in season makes it actually a really great time to be drinking wines. I know y'all were drinking them all throughout the summer with the rosés and the light reds and whites, etc.
For sure.
But it's really fun to enter this chilly period. I know Nick is obsessed with it, being the Swede and New Englander.
Fall seasons are my jam, and so are fall wines.
So the transition that you'll start to see with the wines that we like to be drinking during the fall are that they're typically a little bit smoother, maybe a little bit higher in alcohol, sometimes have more complexity, and generally are just things that make you feel a little warm and fuzzy because we're all chilly. Even in Barcelona, we're chilly right now.
Obviously tons of rosé, light whites, light reds, that kind of thing over the summer, and like Holly mentioned, a little bit darker, a little bit fruitier, higher alcohol, that kind of thing.
So we have a few that we can chat through today that we actually have here with us, and then I'd love to just generally talk a bit about how to pair. Specifically, we can talk about Thanksgiving as well. And the first one that we actually had on our list was Megalodon from Le Petit Domaine. And really, honestly, Megalodon, Myrmidon, specifically, I put them in here for pairing with pumpkins because that Syrah in them is incredibly smooth and it goes really well with something like a pumpkin ravioli or like if you were doing like honestly, maybe even pumpkin pie, but it's a little bit sweet for that. So it really just anything that has squash involved, like that is really the way to go. This Syrah is really yummy for that and pairs great.
Yeah, and there's just a touch of more red in there as well that kind of rounds it out and gives it a little bit of like kind of spiciness, freshness, that kind of thing.
So just generally, these wines are the ones we recommend from us, but if you are, headed to make some sort of pumpkin dish, Syrah, Mourvèdre, all of the GSM blends from the Rhone, Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre, really great go-to for that.
Yeah, and this one's actually part of the Languedoc, the very, very northernmost part of the Languedoc, kind of abutting the Larzac Mountains, which we actually drove through a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So that's one, and then the next one that we were talking about was also, ironically, in the GSM blend, Grenache, the Les Tendus from Marc Castan and Domaine Mamuruda, another perfect one for the fall, and we specifically thought about this one. Le Coupe Soif would also be great for when you're cheering on your team. So I'm a college football fan, Boomer Sooner, I'm from Oklahoma, and Nick is
a Pats fan.
Loves the
Brady,
most hated team in the world. It's okay. So that one is really great. We call both of those like almost like our drunk food wine pairings, and you can picture that all of the things that go with football really match that type of style.
Exactly. Nachos. It kind of cuts through the grease of that type of food that you'll be having for like a tailgate or a game day or whatever. And it's pretty easy drinking, pretty light. You can drink a couple bottles with your friends or whatever, no problem.
Yeah, it's a little less serious than like the Le Petit Domaine wines that we just talked about. So that's a fun one. And then one that we talked about for rosés, we said rosés are for the summer, but there are some heftier rosés. And one of them that we have is from Aldo Viola. It's called Sagna Rosato. And when you look at it, you would question whether it's a light red or a rosé. So it's a great one to chill. We said it was nice for leaf peeping. So basically, if it's not too cold where you are yet, and you can still go out and you have some, nice outdoor place, that's the perfect one to bring with you.
It's like a heavy rosé kind of. So getting away from those like Provençal type, super light, easy drinking, serve uber chilled rosés, and into more like heavy, season appropriate rosés, basically.
And then, let's see, that would be anything else for picnics. Really, honestly, for picnics, if it's really cold, don't bring the light rosé that you chill. If you really want to be outside, but it's still cold out, you could also bring, honestly, like any of these GSM style blends that we've been discussing.
Yeah, or honestly, even Oracular, too. You want to get into that one?
But you'd be a little chilly if you did that. Yes, but this one would be perfect, too.
Yeah.
So Oracular, we've talked about this one. We also put in El Dulce Mata, but we had to swap it out because we don't have enough of it to put in the box. So Oracular is a pet nat that we have, and it is absolutely perfect for pairing with anything that is a dessert, or honestly pairing with literally just anything. Like if you're not sure what to put something with, sparkling wines are always the way to go because you can start with them and you can finish with them. But it's a little hard to pair things that are for desserts. So if you're wanting to make like that pumpkin pie or an apple crumble, something like that, like this nice effervescence with that and the crispness of it is just perfect with desserts.
Yeah, it's super fruity, super light drinking, crisp, like you said. People kind of think that it might have a little bit of RS, but it really doesn't. It's just kind of that fruit that's coming through and giving it that feeling.
Nice and frothy. And then the next one that we have, so talking a lot about Thanksgiving, Carignan is an awesome grape to go with turkey. And this Vin de ma Cocotte could not be more perfect for it because it's technically a chicken on it. My little chicken is what the Vin de ma Cocotte means. It's like a term of endearment in French. But you know, you could tell your grandma or something that it is a turkey and it would be even more perfect. So this is Old Vine Carignan, and it really has the right flavor profile to match a turkey. It is red and it has some oomph to it without overpowering it because obviously, you know, you're not making a red meat, it's turkey. So
right.
You want to still have a bit of that heft while also, you know, not having it overpower what you're eating.
Yeah, these are Mark from Domaine Montmaruta's oldest vines, over 100 years old. We visited them over the summer and really cool plot. You can kind of see like these old like stone walls kind of
Very
enclosing
stumpy.
it, almost like protecting it because it's very, very windy down in that area of France. So it's just like this tiny little enclosed plot. It doesn't get a ton of wine out of it, not huge production, but really, really quality.
And before we move on from like turkey pairings and Thanksgiving pairings, some others that we don't have on this list but that just generally are great picks for Thanksgiving would be Beaujolais. Beaujolais is another one that is light and fruity but still a red, so when you're trying to pair it with something that's like a white meat but you want to have that red with it, Beaujolais Nouveau, Beaujolais Cru, all of them. You'll see a lot of Beaujolais coming from us soon, but sadly not probably in time for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, another cool one too for Thanksgiving that's a little bit out of the box is like a Norello Mascalese or something from Sicily. You know, a little bit lighter drinking, right? Especially if you're thinking specifically for Thanksgiving, you probably don't want something like 15% alcohol, right? Because you're eating so much food, there's so much wine flowing, you know, you don't want everybody falling asleep before they have like dessert or whatever. So those light drinking wines with a little bit of freshness can really kind of refresh your palate from eating like, you know, the same textures like mashed potatoes and
gravy on everything.
Mashed potatoes, gravy, like dressing, all this stuff that kind of is just like this like mushy food. It's just like really good to kind of refresh your palate, keep lightness in there, and kind of enjoy yourself.
Yeah, and if you've never heard this before, I'm sure you probably have, but the whole point of wine pairing with food is that you want it to pair in a way so that whatever you're eating, every time you take a sip, it makes it taste like that next bite is just as delicious as the first. So the reason they say slab and a cab, Cabernet and steak is because all the tannin in that cab soaks up all of the juice and the fat from that steak. And so if you just keep eating bite after bite of steak, you're like, oh, this is kind of exhausting.
Yeah.
But that tannin goes whoosh, and like cleans it all out of your mouth so that that next bite is still just as exciting.
Right, or something like fried chicken and champagne or whatever, right? That's another really classic one where it's like, you know, tons of grease, tons of grease, and that effervescence, those bubbles and that acid kind of cuts through your tongue, cleans it out, have another bite of fried chicken.
So those are some really fun pairings. And then the last one that we had in here is just generally orange wine. We put in here Shiva Bianco because it is just like that wine that you're going to take to your family's house and they're going to be like, holy crap, this thing is unreal. It is basically the nicest plots that Aldo has of Cattarato, and then he puts them on their skins, and it just creates this absolutely delicious, like one of the most complex wines that we've had. So that is really great. Like that one is perfect as like a crazy crowd pleaser and a good introduction to orange wine. But just generally, orange wine is perfect in this season because it's literally like that transition point from, you know, a light white into a style of how they make red wine. They take the white grapes and they macerate them, and it extracts a little bit of that tannin, so it makes it perfect for when you're having, you know, again, like these white meats, but that are heavier with lots of sauces and creams.
Pork. We do a lot of pork and orange wines for sure. And obviously, like, it's orange. It's fall. Come on.
Pumpkins. Pumpkin color. So that's like another great one. obviously check on what type of style of orange wine it is. You know, you can have something that is so orange that you're like, is this almost red? Like, what is going on here? Others that like just have a touch of it. Weiss has a tiny bit of skin contact on it, and like that is a great one from Nibiru that can go with more of like the lighter portions of what you're going to put in Thanksgiving, like the green bean part or whatever. So that type of thing might be a good pairing for someone that doesn't want to have red wine at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about whites generally. I mean, Weiss is a really good example because it's very rounded. It has a very full mouthfeel, right? So it kind of gives you that like almost heaviness that you want, that you're kind of looking for in your reds. In a white. So that's another really good kind of example of one that we might kind of pull out a little bit more often in the fall.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Nick's mom just bought like a ton of them for her Thanksgiving meal. So that's like a really great example of it. I think those are that's honestly like that is the white wine that we have that goes with it. But other examples, like if Chenin is great for Thanksgiving, Viognier is another great grape for whites. So when someone wants to have a white at Thanksgiving, they actually have a little bit of like oiliness to them, which doesn't sound attractive, but it's really great for something like Thanksgiving. So those are two that would also be good go-tos. You know, something like a crisp Sauvignon Blanc is really like, that's more staying in the summer. I mean, of course, if you like it, that's what you can have there, but transitioning into fall, that is kind of the direction that you would want to be going.
That's about it, huh?
Yeah, I guess that's really it. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that it is interesting. We'll do another one on winter wines later because there is actually quite a significant difference between what we're talking about here at Thanksgiving time, and then we can go even heavier, basically, and talk about things that go with stews and when you're really freezing. Oh, there goes our bows. Sorry, guys. So yeah, that's...
Let us know what you like to pair for Thanksgiving foods in the comments or on our social or wherever this is going.
That's right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.